I found Amazon's greatest tools for under £25, and honestly, I use every one of these all the time. If you do any DIY, this is going to save you time and money. Now, I'm not talking about gimmicks or junk, I'm talking about the tools that I actually use on a daily basis. And you'll know by the end of this video if you're going to buy them for yourself or a DIY instead of socks this Christmas. So we'll start with the tool that does a lot of heavy lifting, the wind bag. These things are incredibly impressive. You can use them to lift things, prise things, hold things, you name it. And on the back they show you all the different things that you can use them for. They hold up to 135 kilograms per bag. I've got two of them. They're £15 each on Amazon. To use one, you simply pump it up and you'll be amazed at the amount of weight they can hold. To let the bag down and make small adjustments, you release air by this little release button here, and you can see that we can make really small adjustments. Now, I normally use these things underneath doors to level and hold the door whilst I hang it into a frame. They come in really useful for making the gaps correct either side, on the head and on the foot of the door, and they're really good for leveling washing machines and all kinds of handy jobs around the house. Now I'm going to pop a link to these and all the other tools in this video in the description below so you can buy them yourself or for somebody else. And stick around for the last two because they are some of the most cheap and useful tools you could add to your toolbox. The second tool we're going to look at is arm egg twister. Now I know what you're thinking, those look like very standard bit holders on a carabiner clip to keep them organised, but they're not. There's something a lot different about the twister. This particular set that I've got here that comes with a magnetic PZ2 bit holder and a 6mm twister drill bit, they are £19.50. You can get the set with four, so a 5mm drill bit and another bit holder for, I think they're £30 on Amazon at the moment. I'd recommend that for £19.50 you start with the set of two. There's pretty much everything you could need there. What's good about them? So all the arm egg bit holders are also one touch. You don't have to pull the collar back. Some bit holders you have to pull the collar back to insert the bit. These ones you just push them in and they are locked in. Now, none of the tools I'm showing you today have paid any money or sponsored this video. They're all just bits that I like. So what's so good about the twister bits, the two bits that you get with this kit? A super strong magnet that holds your screws for you, and they even work on 100mm heavy long screws as well. Look at that, holds it for you. Super strong magnets, really easy to use. Now the 6mm twister arm egg drill bit, it has this depth stop here on the base of the drill bit. The depth stop is set at about 40 to 45mm, so it's perfect for screws up to that length, and it'll stop you from over penetrating when you're drilling into a wall. Once you've got the basic set, you can add to them later, leave them hanging on your waist, and you'll always have the bits that you need. Now, one of my personal favourites, and at only £12.89 on Amazon, the Stud Buddy Stud Finder. You can get all kinds of expensive stud finders like this one that's over £100, but really you don't need anything more than this. Let me show you how effective this is. This is a stud wall. If we want to attach something to this wall, we need to know where the timber studs are behind the plasterboard. To do that, we can use our Stud Buddy. Now, how the Stud Buddy works is it quite simply finds the screws or the nails within the wall. So we'll just wipe this across the wall, and there you go. There's obviously a screw behind there. If we move it slightly further down, we can tell the stud's running in that direction because there's another screw underneath it as well. So now we know exactly where the timber stud is within that wall, thanks to a very cheap tool called the Stud Buddy. Another tool, and probably one of the handiest, is the Tajima Convoy silicone gun. So this is called the Convoy Super, and I think it's actually the most expensive tool on our list today, but it's one you're gonna love. Now, there's a common problem with all other silicone guns. Watch this. If we squeeze some of that off, look at that. It just keeps on giving, you see that? And this is a really common problem with all other silicone guns. It just keeps on giving after you've finished the job, and you end up wasting silicone and getting blobs of silicone all over the place. It is really annoying. That'll just keep on creeping out. It'll slow down eventually. Not only does the Tajima have a lovely ergonomic handle, it really does give you good pressure throughout the squeeze, but watch this. We can do this as many times as we want. I've not touched that any more than releasing it. No creep. We don't waste silicone, it doesn't go everywhere. What a tool. These things really are the bee's knees of the silicone gun world, and you need to get yourself one. Now we're going to look at one of the cheapest tools on the list today, only £7, and probably one of the most useful when nothing else will do the job that this will do. Before I show you how this works, hit like so that I know you're enjoying the video, and hit subscribe so that you don't miss the next one. And the next couple of tools are going to be some of the ones that I use the most. Let's give it a little shake up before we use it. The Marksman is essentially a pressurized canister with a paint-like substance inside that you can mark surfaces with. I've been putting some CCTV up recently and I found the Marksman really useful. This is a classic example of where it's perfect. To make a mark through the mounting plate on this camera, it's next to impossible with a pencil. But if we use the Marksman, we've got a perfect mark exactly where we want to drill. You can wipe it off if you get it wrong as well. Next up is a tool we all use every day, a tape measure. What could possibly be so special about a tape measure? Well, this is a Camellon Power Blade 2. They come in 8 meters and 5 meters. This is the 8 meter version, which is gold, and they are currently £13.50 on Amazon. It's not about looks for this. I've had this for 2 years and it's still going strong. They're really robust and they're jam-packed full of features. I'm going to compare this to a cheap standard 8 meter Stanley tape. This has a clip on the back, so I'll pop that on my waist for now. If we look at this standard tape measure, let's start with a break point. So if I'm working on my own and I want to take a measurement on a ladder, I'm struggling, that has broken at 2 meters. You can see there, Camellon. Let's see if it can beat that 2 meter mark. So that broke at just over 2.5 meters. So it allows you to work that little bit easier if you're on your own. The other great thing, it's double-sided. Don't know if you noticed that, but the hook works in both directions. The blade, I think, is nylon coated. Doesn't rust, doesn't scratch. But there's one more unique feature. It's got magnets in the end. If we find a bit of metal, that will hold our tape for us, and the magnet is super strong. Look how useful that is. That is an absolute game changer. So now you can see a tape is not just a tape. Now this tool, a 300mm speed square, specifically a Hultafors one, it doesn't really have any unique features, but I've still put it on my list because it's one of them tools that I use every single day. Now speed squares are amazing for all kinds of marking tasks, whether we want to square a piece of timber or use for more complex tasks like cutting roofs. You can use it for roofing angles and things like that. A really, really useful tool. But one of the most quick and common ways I use my speed square is in conjunction with my circular saw. I can make quick and square cuts without a miter saw. At the time of filming, this was £25 exactly. Since then, Amazon have put the price up to £28, just as a bit of a disclaimer, but trust me, this is still worth it. They even do a mini version. Now you might have noticed earlier in the video, there's something I have on my hip. Now these Hultafors pencils are £9.65 on Amazon and they last forever. These have been here for months. I just keep refilling them. They don't break and they are really, really useful. There's loads of these different types of pencils on the market now. Why do I go to this one? Now the first obvious feature is a deep pencil, right? You can get right in the little holes, a bit like when we did the CCTV with the Marksman, although the Marksman's better for brickwork in that scenario. These are perfect for carpentry. They are absolutely brilliant because they feature a big long piece of lead inside, which you can refill. The lead inside is super strong. Some of these you find they break really, really easily. And what often happens is the spring inside ends up breaking first, the mechanism. On some of them that I've used, because there are a lot out there, that mechanism breaks first. These have been going strong for months and months and months, used every day. But for me, the most simple yet standout feature is how the sharpener is positioned within the pencil holder. So I keep my holders on my side, I can tip them over, I can sharpen the pencil with no fuss at all. A brilliant pencil, much better than the standard stuff, and one you should probably add to your everyday toolkit. Now the Fatmax wire stripper and cutter. When I was out on the road, I had a set of these for 7 years. They never broke. I used them every day and they were incredible. We're going to use these Nipex ones as a bit of a comparison. They're a stripper cutter plier and they're a really, really expensive stripper cutter plier as well. So what I'll do, I'll just cut that. You can see, you can cut things pretty standard. And you can strip individual cores with them as well. They're not so great at stripping the outer sheath from the cable initially, but they are pretty handy at general stripping tasks. But watch how much easier the Stanley Fat Max strippers are. I can cut my cable with them. But the best feature is how quick you can strip cable. If you're connecting any wire, they even have crimpers on them. So if any of your DIY involves cutting, crimping, stripping cable, then these are something that you should add to your toolkit. Now the 10th and final tool changed the game for me because I've tried using ones from other brands and I simply can't. I always revert back to this one. Stanley Fat Max knife. Now I know you think that's boring, but there's something about it that just keeps me coming back. So why is this one so good? Well, let's compare it to one that I got recently. This one, if you want to change the blade, you got to open it up, you got to get the blade out, but guess what? The whole mechanism comes out, and then you got to put a new blade in and it all jams up. It's just really long-winded and annoying. There we go, that's actually gone fairly well this time, but it's still slow, irritating. The mechanisms kind of jam up, they're not great. So I don't tend to like these box standard utility knives. The Stanley one has a few great features. The blades are held in the top of the knife. They're quick to get to. It's ergonomical, it's got a rubberized grip, it fits nicely in the hand, and how good is the mechanism? It locks, you can't accidentally open it. It's absolutely perfect for cutting at all angles. I like the slight kink in it. It just allows you to hold it nicely. But there's one standout feature, and that is the blade change. You can see the first slot opens the blade. The second slot, very quick to use, blade out, new one in. The holder has a magnet within, and that actually magnetizes the blade. Retract it, that is your blade changed. And it can't accidentally go into the blade change mode because it locks. At only $14.95 on Amazon, this is an absolute bargain. A simple, intuitive, everyday tool that they've just got right. I've been using mine for years and it lives in my pocket. But guess what? You could just hang it on these things. Let me know in the comments which ones you would use, which ones you already own, or which ones you're going to ask for Christmas this year. And you can check the prices down below in the description. See you next time.